Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl Cherrell. I'm the host of Let's Talk the Show, and this ain't a podcast. I love to thank you guys for joining us this Tuesday. I do want to apologize for being late. I did have someone knock on my door, with a package or something. I don't know. It seemed kind of weird, but I don't know what that was about. So thank you for that. And without further ado, guys, you guys know the routine. Drop in my comment section something that you're grateful for. I'm going to say today that I am grateful for my resilient attitude. I think that kind of, gets me through a lot of things. I never want to give up. I just feel like I got to stick it out. Whatever stick it out be, I just gotta do it. But we have a wonderful episode planned for you guys. I cannot wait. You guys are gonna have so much fun today. So without further ado, let's get our special guest in. And if you're watching, drop in my comment section something that you're grateful for. Let's see. Let's get it going. Let's see here. Get our special guest on the line. Yo. Let's see. Without further ado, let's see. Hello.
Hey,
Hi, how
hello.
are you?
I'm doing great. How are
I'm
you?
well. Thank you for asking. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, finally.
Right? Okay. So, Sarah, the ritual is once you get on the show, you got to give us something that you're grateful for. So, what would you say is something you're grateful for?
Oh, okay. Most definitely, I'm grateful for life. Working as a nurse in this pandemic, I have seen so many people pass away,
Yeah.
and it's really hard, especially when they can't see their loved ones. You're having to FaceTime their loved ones so that they can say their last goodbyes, and that's just it takes a mental and emotional. It's just really taking a toll on me this year, and it's really pushed my limits as a nurse, especially emotionally. So yes, I'm grateful for life. See so many people my age, from I'm 40, people in their 20s, 30s passing from this virus, and I'm seeing my coworkers suffering also. It's taking a toll on them. So I'm definitely grateful for life because a lot of people didn't make it this year,
Okay. Amen to
unfortunately.
that one. Okay. We did get a
Yeah.
comment there said, I'm grateful that my loved ones is making it through this hard time with COVID. And you're sick, COVID's canceling everything. Yeah, for
Yes.
real. You know better than anybody firsthand that this virus does not discriminate.
No,
Anybody
it
can get it
doesn't.
and anybody can die from it. Contrary to what we've been seeing in the news that has a lot to do with
Exactly.
pre-existing conditions, but we're seeing a lot of perfectly healthy people not recovering from this.
Exactly. Takes away from this. Yes.
Oh, that's just kind of sent chills. I wish you guys could see my skin. I literally just got chills from that because that is, I
Yeah.
think that us on the outside looking in always feel like, everything will be okay. It's not that big of a deal, but you're working with the very people that have this disease
To have this,
and they're not
yes,
making it.
it's rough. I mean, I will say that it's rough, but I thank God for seeing me through this year, and I'm thankful that no one in my immediate family has been affected. Again, I take all of my precautions, everything, making sure that I don't bring this home to my family. And it's hard not to want to go into work, but nursing is a calling, and it's my mom's a nurse. She's a retired nurse, so I followed in her footsteps, and it's very rewarding. But this year has just really, I think it's just. I'm just thankful that I have not been sick, and I'm thankful for being here and being able to talk to you and talk to everyone about what's going on in my book. And and through this pandemic I wrote a book and was able
Right.
to get it published. And it's that's not something to overcome either. And I'm definitely grateful for God for giving me the energy and giving me the instilling that spirit in me, that message that he wanted me to give out to
Right.
other people so that it could help them with their issues.
I definitely agree. I agree. I think that we've all been affected by this in many different ways, and to be able to sit down and have the patience after getting off work and working, firsthand with the people that are dying and decide you want to write a book, that definitely does say a lot. So without further, let's jump right into it. So your newest book is called Mind Under Troubled Waters. Okay.
Yes.
And I honestly, I think that's a good point. I'm going to start there. What convinced you to write a book in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, I've always been an avid reader. I've always written a lot of things, poetry, short stories, and I actually started picking up more of it when I started working as a nurse back in 2017. It was just a way for me to relieve my stress from working in the hospital. And so what actually what actually made me want to write this book, I encountered a African American male patient. He was in his late 20s, just been diagnosed with end stage renal disease, having to get ready to go on dialysis for the rest of his life. And he tried to commit suicide. He didn't know how to handle it. He really had no one to talk to about it. Most people just pretty much dismissed it. Some of the doctors and stuff I work with, they kind of dismissed his mental issues, just saying that he's just attention seeking, and that's not the case. And unfortunately, you see that a lot in our community. Our symptoms are being ignored. We're being ignored as a people. We're often seen as aggressive, having attitudes. We're faking our illnesses. There's nothing wrong with it. They just tell us to pray about it, to, get over it. And it's just, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with prayer, but, we need the resources. We need help. We need to seek out help. We need to talk. We need to be able to feel comfortable talking to people about what's going on in our lives. And that's why I wrote this book. It's a fiction book, but it definitely touches on a lot of things that happens in reality. So that was my, standpoint. That was my driving force behind writing this book.
So your book is actually inspired by a patient that you saw. That's amazing. And
yes.
I hate to be prying, but like, where do you know anything else about this patient at this point? Is he alive? I know.
I haven't really, I really didn't keep up with him afterwards. He was just on my floor, for a couple of days, and, that was it. With HIPAA laws, I really can't go into, much detail about, anything else, but just, I'm praying he's okay. I'm praying he was able to get the help that he really needed. So, but, and that's just the thing, you have a whole lot of other people who are not able to get the help that they need.
I agree.
At least he finally was able to, or, there was a healthcare professional that was finally able to recognize what was going on with him, to refer him to, resources. But a lot of our people do not get that.
They don't. Like you said, oftentimes our symptoms go ignored. They oftentimes are not reported once they're reported to a physician or a nurse.
Yes.
And a lot of times they underestimate. I know a big thing is that as far as Black women or Black people in general, our symptoms being ignored, it's Black women when it comes to fatalities after birth. A lot of times doctors are not acknowledging Black women's symptoms. They're not acknowledging our pain. And a lot of times, these babies and these women are dying in childbirth because they're ignored. And obviously this is something that definitely struck a chord with you as a nurse. How do you make sure that you're constantly giving a voice or encouraging people that look like you and I to speak up in the hospital? I know the hospitals are really intimidating.
Yes, they are. I mean, you have to be relatable to what your patients are going through. You have to be an advocate for them. You have to, just take the time to listen to them. And that's something that a lot of healthcare professionals don't do. They don't like to listen to these patients. They don't take the time. They're always busy. And I mean, we're all busy. It's just, a few minutes, it just 10, 15, 20 minutes. I know it's really hard now with the patient load and the the acuity of care, but you have to listen to your patients. You have to be able to recognize that something is going on with them.
Yeah.
Even if they don't want to talk about it, you could always leave that door open for them to, kind of let their guard down, and everything just has to be done, and, not so much you trying to come down on them, but you need to be empathetic towards their plight and, their their um their shortcomings and what's going on in their life, excuse me. So it's very important that we show empathy to our patients, we show compassion. You got to be an advocate for not only, for yourself, and that's what we have to teach our patients. You need to be advocate for yourself to be able to want the help, but we also have to be able to be a voice for those who can't speak.
I definitely agree. I think that a lot of times when I went into nurses of color, that is always something that they've always voiced to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're in here, don't be intimidated. That's a big thing. That's like the number one thing. Don't be intimidated.
Yes.
A lot of times, that I think that's what everybody say. Put it in layman's terms for me, because a lot of times doctors just rush in, rush out. They give you all these big words.
Rush in, they rush out, exactly, and they talk down to you.
Very condescending. They can be very condescending, and I think that's the big thing. And it's like, you kind of you need somebody else on the inside, that not necessarily on the inside, but you may need a health professional that knows what these words mean. But at the same time, we got to encourage each other to not be scared to say, can you slow down? Can you come back? Can you break this down for me? We gotta, we kind of gotta also have that faith in ourselves. So this book is this book is inspired by a patient, and it sounds like you've been a registered nurse for 3 years. When the pandemic hit, like, tell me how it came about writing the book. I know you had the patient and you were inspired, but how did this formulate into let me write a book about this?
Well, actually, I kind of started like having an idea. The patient pretty much, I had the patient like a couple of months before the pandemic started. So I was just kind of inspired by that, but I kind of put it to the side. But then it started back, when the pandemic hit, I kind of picked it back up just to, relieve myself, give myself a break from, the stresses of. But, I just think it's something that is really needed, because with this pandemic, everything shut down. People were forced to, quarantine, stay indoors. And that itself can cause a lot of mental anguish, especially if you're not used to being inside. You're not used to, being sheltered in. A lot of people lost their jobs. It's just they've lost contact with people. They have not been able to see their family members, those who are in the hospitals, the nursing homes. It's just, this pandemic has just wreaked havoc on a totally mental level, and I just think it's needed. It's important for people to recognize that you got to just deal with, or try to deal with, your mental health. It's very important. It's very important to talk to people. You just have to be careful these days how you talk to people, how you approach it, because
I agree.
A lot of people out here are, they're ticking time bombs. You say the wrong thing and boom. You just set it off. So you got to be, you got to be nice to people. You got to be kind to people. And at the same time, we have to be able to, talk to someone or find an outlet to relieve, our mental issues that we have.
I definitely.
Especially, this a lot of depression and stuff and anxiety from the pandemic. So that was my reasoning for really wanting to write this book. Especially with teenagers. My son, it's his senior year when all this hit. So he, him and all his classmates, 2020, they missed out on a lot of stuff. And you have to pay attention to those type of children. This is their life, and they just, this one virus has just affected everything. They weren't able to enjoy graduation. They didn't go to prom. They
Yeah.
missed out on the milestones that we were able to enjoy in high school. So
I definitely agree with you, and I think that you definitely mentioned that in this time period, we need to be kind about how we're talking to one another because we don't know the battles that each other is facing and the things that we're not speaking about. And I know in the book, the young man does have an overbearing type father. You know, where did
yes,
that element come from? How did you decide to incorporate an overbearing father into that?
I did that because I just want people to number one, I think we as a society, there's so many stereotypes placed on the Black family, the Black community. I just really wanted to bring out, have other people recognize that and just see that, a lot of these stereotypes are not true. I did the father that way because, most of our Black men, they are viewed as aggressive.
Oh,
They're
yes.
viewed as, not understanding, not wanting, just more of like a bullying type person. And that's what I wanted to relate to Thomas's father in this book. And, it was just my way of letting people know not all Black families, not all Black men are like that.
Thank you.
And, his mom was really passive in the book. And that was another thing. Like a lot of women, a lot of Black women are viewed, especially marriages as, passive, or we're also labeled as having attitudes and everything. We just walk around like we are angry all the time. And that's how, Black families are portrayed. And, a lot of that stuff is just not true. So I really wanted to bring out a lot of the stereotypes that society has placed on us. And, that's something that, you know, we as a society, we need to overcome that. We need to go beyond that. A lot of this stuff, just me personally, and this is just my opinion, I think a lot of this stuff that just stems from slavery, with our ancestors. I mean, the passive woman, like we were not able to talk or say anything when we sat up here and watched these white people
Amen.
beat our husbands and our
Yeah.
brothers and hit them, and you know dare not speak against it because they're going to kill you themselves. And I mean, it's really sad that that has passed on from the beginning of time till now, even in 2020, and it still lingers there. And it's just something that we need to break away from.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think that what it sounded like you were kind of hitting on is I'm gonna make an example out of you so you don't get out of line as well. And that really did cause, Black men
Yes.
and women to be really submissive and passive, and not try to, cause a ruckus. I definitely agree. I definitely agree.
Hmm.
And I'm glad that you did touch on a lot of those stereotypes because all Black men are not aggressive.
Yes.
They're not these animals that need to be caged in, and they're not animals at all that need to be tamed or anything like that. And
Hmm.
so I really love that. I really, really, really love that. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I did want to ask because I did get like some conflicting information. So does he have a brother that's autistic? Okay,
Yes, he does.
okay,
And with Thomas, he's like his dream is to be an NBA player, but he also is very interested in, his brother's illness. So he's really gearing towards being an educator for people with disabilities. And that's a struggle that he has with his father, with his friends who all want him to be in an NBA. And then, he's learning, on the side of stuff about his brother. And so, and that's where the whole mental illness comes in, the whole struggle, because he doesn't know how to deal with that, with that issue. So, he uses ways, or he does unconventional ways of dealing with his issues. And that's what I want to bring out. You know, we need to talk to our brothers and sisters, especially with the father. The father's so aggressive. I put this in the book because I want to teach, I want to show that Black men, we can talk to our sons without being, overbearing, without being, so hard on them. Allow them to live, allow them to be teenagers, let them make the decisions that they want to make. And, we as adults, we were children before we learn and we grow from our mistakes. So, we have to allow our children, we can teach them so much. We can tell them so much, but, they have to step out into that world and face that world just like we did. So, and that's why I wanted to, really touch on the stereotypes, just to provide an educational type environment for people that are reading this book.
I like that. I like that. I love the idea of men being able to talk to their sons and not be so aggressive and overbearing
Yeah.
and hostile. Because I think that a lot of times and I think that's like just a common stereotype that mothers are soft and the men are hard with their sons. It's like, I can talk to him the same way you can talk to him. You're not less of a father or less of a man because you don't have to yell at your kid to get your point across. And I think that's
exactly.
a big thing. You do not. I am so big on that. You do not have to yell at your kid to get your point
across. That's it. That's true.
I wish I could. I wish I could tell people this and shout it from the rooftops.
Exactly.
I'm an advocate for that. You do not have to yell to get your point across. Your kid is perfectly capable of understanding you.
Of understanding, yes.
Now, if you're going to yell all day, but you better know they're going to get accustomed to yelling. So it's going to take some time.
Exactly.
Just talking to them, but they will understand if you do not yell at them. I love that. That is I'm like a big parent. I am huge.
Exactly. And so am I. And I say that because I did that with my son a lot. And, I regret it. And, our relationship, was strained for a time when he got to be a senior, but it's getting much better now. But I've also, I have a 10-year-old daughter. So, I'll promise myself that I was not ever going to speak to her, in that manner again, because, kids are sensitive and they pick up on that. And, the more you yell with some children, the more rebellious they become. So, just like you said, you could talk to kids without yelling, without just being aggressive. There's a way to communicate with your children. And it's very important that you speak to them on a level where it's nurturing, and you're just also being firm at the same time. You have your ground rules and you expect those to be followed, but you don't have to lay it down with an iron fist or a loud voice either to get your point across. Yes.
I love it. And earlier you did touch on being kind. I know we say you got to be kind to people. You have to be kind to each other. You never know. And I think a lot of times people don't think of be kind to your kids. Because kids are not as dumb as people want to think they are. They know
exactly. Especially my daughter. I swear, I say all the time, my daughter's been on this earth 10 times before because she is she picks up on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and they're very observative. So the way you talk to them, the way you speak to them, they're going to internalize that. And you have to talk to children kind. They are people. You don't want to be yelled at all day. Why does your kid want to be yelled at all day?
Yes, exactly.
So I really, really love that. I love that so much.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Of course. And so I did some research on you now, Sarah. And you love Toni Morrison. I'm a huge Toni Morrison fan too. I love her. Tell me, I believe you wrote a memorial piece on Toni. I believe she passed.
I did.
This year or last? I think was it last year?
Last year.
Okay.
So, a year before, I think. Yes.
I know she passed recently, and my heart was just broken. So
yeah, I was heartbroken. Yes, I was. So, I read her book. Oh my gosh, I had to be about 5th, 6th grade. I got it as a Christmas gift, and I just absolutely fell in love with her. The way she speaks, I just love how the way she portrayed, excuse me, mouth getting dry here. I love the way that she portrayed the Black family, especially Black women. It's just I just can't stress it enough how important it is for Black women to not only love themselves but love each other. And she portrayed that a lot in her writings and her books. And we just see now, especially in this day and age with, the murder of Breonna Taylor and, just the whole disrespect on a whole level of Black women over the years, not just within our community, but by other people outside of our community. And it's important that, not only do our Black community, we need to support our women more, but, we also need to stand against those who speak ill about us. But, it starts from within.
I agree.
You got to love yourself before you can love anybody else or expect anybody else to love you and support you. And so, and Toni, she really did that a lot in her books, and I love her for it. And I was just so devastated when she passed away, but she left a lasting legacy on, this generation, and people are still reading her books. And I'm just so grateful that, God placed her on this earth, to fulfill that purpose. And I'm just praying that I can be as good as her, Not gonna be better than her. I could just pray. If I could just get on that level or a little bit close to her level, I'm good. So I'm praying on it. Yes.
She is a wonderful, wonderful author. I know. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but she does have a documentary on Hulu, and I think it's called "The Pieces of Toni" or "Toni's Pieces" or something like that. And it kind of goes over her most famous books. So I know it has Loved in there. What is it? Blue Eyes. I think that's the name of the
Blue Eyes. Yeah, yes.
That's in there. She has like all the major. I think it's like 5 or 6 major books that are really.
Okay, I have to catch that. Yeah. I haven't heard of that.
Yes, I think it's called like Pieces of Toni's Pieces or something.
Okay.
And it's fun. And when I saw that you were a fan of her, I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. Because actually, I founded this show a little bit before the pandemic hit. And Toni, in the documentary, she talks about how she said that I couldn't get out there and I wasn't always marching, but I was writing. And that was my contribution to my people. She was like, some people fight, some people march, some people protest. She's like, but I wrote. And that was my contribution.
Yes, and that's what I really loved about that. You have so many ways of expressing yourself. You don't necessarily have to be in the forefront. You could be in the back. And that's what I want to be. I want to be in, I want to be more, heard and not seen, behind the scenes, which I love her for saying that, because that's definitely what she did, and that impact that she had, without going out and marching and protesting. It just left a really good, impact on our generation. I love her for that, and I gotta check out that documentary. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I found it either earlier this year, maybe, or sometime late last year. I found it, and briefly after, I got the book Beloved for my sister. My sister had it at her room, and I was like, can I have it? Like, I was like gonna fight her for that, or I was gonna pay her for it. Whichever one, I wanted that book, and I had
whichever one, you just had to get your hands on it.
That documentary. So yeah. So, you talk about being a nurse and how your patient has inspired you, and you have children, you have a teenager son, and you have a 10-year-old daughter. How do you, how important is it to you to teach them to use their talents, to give back to their community and to uplift their community?
It's very important. And even from a young age, my children have shown talent, and we have nurtured that with them, and we have encouraged them to use that. I mean, when my son started crawling, he was pulling pots out of the sink, underneath the the counter, and getting spoons and beating, and beating on beat too. So that's how he learned how to play the drums. No formal lessons or anything like that up until like he was 12 or 13. We did get him in some formal lessons, and he started playing for our church and playing for other communities. So that's how we were able to, allow him to use his gift to bless others. And then my daughter, she's also very active in our church. She sings, she dances, she plays violin, and she's also, she's been all over the United States performing, dancing with our church group. And she actually, my daughter is just amazing. God has just really blessed me with her. She came to me I said about 3 weeks ago, and she's like, Mama, this 2020 has just been a really rough year. She said, I want to have a little event where we, lift 2020 up into the atmosphere. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, all this other stuff going on. It's time to just come together and pray and let's have a balloon event. So she wants to have an event where we, go out to the lake and write balloons and, release those fears into the atmosphere. So we're actually having an event
Wow.
on the 31st. And I'll post it in my on my page again. And we're going to name it 2020 Fears into the Atmosphere. So it's just pretty much where everyone comes down, they write messages on balloons, prayers. It's also time for us to come together and pray for those that we lost this year and just release it into the atmosphere and ask God to, close out this year and bring us into another year, a new year of prosperity. So that was her idea.
Wow.
And, she really wants to do that. And so I'm so busy, but I'm putting it together for her because I really feel like God laid that on her heart. So,
wow.
Yes.
I love that. That is a lot. That's powerful. That's really powerful.
Yes.
And
I really thought that was deep coming from a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
I can't wait till my kid is old enough to come, and blow my mind with these types of things.
Yes. Oh, they will. They will.
Oh my God. I love that. Okay. Please post
Thank you.
Please post that. I can't wait to share with our viewers. I love that. I love that. And you are taking your love and your passion for writing and you're putting it into books, and it's written for readers. Who is your book written for? Who are they written for?
I really want it's for the Black community. It's for anybody, but it's specifically for the Black community, but especially teenagers. Black teenagers, especially our Black boys and our Black girls who, are dealing with things and feel like that they can't talk to anyone about it. And it's also for our adults who, we harbor and a lot of stuff that, shouldn't be going on, a lot of stigmas. I touch on a lot of stuff in this book. I touch on rape, I touch on incest, I touch on family secrets.
Ooh.
And I really want that to be brought to the forefront because we have a lot of adults who, hide these kinds of things. So they know that it's going on, with their kids being, molested or whatever. So, or being, tortured or someone torturing them and they know about it and they don't want to do it. Kind of like, the situation with, R. Kelly. And I know everyone loves R. Kelly, but, it's kind of similar to that.
Lock them up. Keep.
Yes, and I I touch on that because that happens in our community on a daily basis.
It does.
Kids are suffering in silence. Our children are suffering in silence. Being raped or touched by a family member and they're scared to say anything, and that's what I touch on in this book. So it's basically for the Black community. It's just like I said, it's a fiction book, but it touches on a lot of realities that go on and stigmas that need to be broken.
Yeah.
And and silence that needs to be broken also.
Amen. Because look, let me find out. If I find out, okay?
For real.
I'm blowing the spot up. Ain't no secrets around
Exactly.
I'm blowing it up. Don't let me find out.
And that is so true. And that all comes back into full circle regarding communication.
Yeah, it's important.
Our children.
Yeah.
Just like we were touching earlier, communicate with your kids in a way that they want to talk to you. You're yelling at them all the time. They're not going to want to say anything. And so this book really touches on communication.
Yeah.
It's important to communicate.
I love that.
With your kids.
I love that. And I love that you said to talk to them in a nurturing way that creates that environment, because I won't
Mm-hmm.
talk to nobody yelling at me all the time. I don't care what it is.
Exactly.
You know, and I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. And I think that is also so important because, like you said, a lot of adults are harboring these emotions and these things, and it's so important to heal before you have children and to, you know, to get these things out your system, because you do want to be better
Yes.
than the people before you. You want to be better than your parents, and you want to learn from their mistakes and be
Exactly.
better for your kids. I definitely agree. I love that, y'all. I just love her. I'm so happy she gave. I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
she gave, y'all. I just love
Thank you so much. I'm so blessed to be on here,
I'm
and
so
I'm blessed to
happy.
share my book and, you know, my feelings behind it. And I'm just praying that everyone, you know, will go out and get it and just read it and, you know, see what's, you know, what it's about. And it's about healing. It's about, you know, secrets that we need to get over in our community.
I love that. I love it. And I want to ask, like, do you have any personal experience with mental illness, or, you know, dealing with a sibling that may be autistic?
I actually, let's see, I not so much, now, you know, I've gone through, you know, I went through a depressive stage earlier, you know, during the year when the whole pandemic hit. So,
Y'all did.
you know, just seeing all those people pass away and having to, you seeing these emotional family members on FaceTime, like,
Oh, that's a lot.
how hard is that?
That's
That's a lot to, like, I mean, I remember the first time I had to FaceTime a patient's daughter to see her mom, you know, pass, and that just took me out the whole shift. Like, I was
oh,
just emotionally drained. Like, I couldn't go back to work for 2 weeks out because that totally depressed me. And that was, and I would say that was actually my first time, you know, with a suffering from a full blown, you know,
yeah,
depression. But I prayed about it. I was able to, you know, seek God and just, you know, come over that. But a lot of people, you know, in my field have not, and it's devastating to them. It's very devastating. And, you know, as far as the autistic, you know, thing goes, you know, you know, there's, you know, kids in our community and stuff that I've seen, and, you know, they suffer from autism, and, you know, I've just had the opportunity to, you know, interact with them and their parents. So it's just a blessing to be able to know firsthand,
yeah,
you know, these situations so that you can speak about it,
yeah.
and, you know, and you can learn from that and help others to learn from those situations also.
I definitely agree with you. I think um uh special needs children, that's like a big taboo thing in the Black community. That's almost
It
as the
is.
incest, the molestation.
It
Like,
is.
Black people don't,
That is
like,
true.
if something's wrong with your kid, you know, everybody notices, but nobody says anything. And I think that all we need is a couple people to be like, well, what's really wrong with him? And actually want to
Yes.
know, because the more, like, the quicker we're able to spread the information and the signs and what it looks like, the more likely people are able to possibly diagnose their kid earlier and
Diagnose their
get that
children and get
that they need.
help.
Because we don't talk about it, we just look, we just stare like, what's wrong with her kid? What's wrong? You know? And it's like, if you just ask and she tell you, you may see some of those signs in your kid. Or you might see
And that's
your
true.
kid and be able to say, hey, well, is he not developing properly? You know, do you see something wrong? I don't know. I feel like it's always, I don't know. I feel like it's always like we're wrong for trying to say something or wrong from trying to figure it out. But it's like,
That's true. That is very true. And it's so sad because when they reach school age, they don't know how to, you know, they keep that stuff internalized. And then you have, you know, educators who are not proficient in recognizing this stuff
yeah,
either. So they automatically want to label the child as a problem child or they're bad. And, you know, and that's where their whole, you know, disciplinary issue starts. And that's
there
where the
you go.
whole pipeline from school to prison starts,
There you
because
go.
they were not, you know, labeled, that they were labeled wrong. They were not, you know, they were just totally ignored, you know, for, you know, something that could have been prevented, that could have helped. And like I said, all this starts within the community. It starts within ourselves. We need to recognize, you know, not only our denials and come over them, but we need to also recognize the shortcomings and ourselves and our children that we need to seek help for.
I agree. I definitely agree. And I love that you said that once they get to school, they're automatically labeled a bad kid. Now they're
They
getting
are.
in trouble in school. So now the issue's already starting to snowball because now he's getting yelled at school. Now he's coming home, he's getting yelled at, probably getting whooped.
Yo, that
And now eventually, because nobody's actually taking the time to sit and talk to him and genuinely try to figure out
yes.
if there is a problem, now it's just gonna snowball, and now you got somebody who actually really needed help, but now they're getting kicked out of school, and eventually
And
going
then
to
they're
end
getting
up
kicked
in a
out of
life
school.
crime and end up either dead or in jail when all they really needed was some help, but nobody took the time to really try to figure out
Like,
what the problem is.
yes.
And I I definitely agree. I definitely agree with you.
Yes.
That school to prison pipeline has a lot to do with, not taking the time to acknowledge Black kids' problems.
Acknowledge.
Like, they have problems. They're
Yes.
allowed to have problems. They're allowed, so many things can be wrong with kids. They can be dyslexic. They may be suffering from autism on the higher end or the lower end of the spectrum. So,
Yes.
or just a variety of learning disabilities. Some classes they
Just
just don't get. Some subjects they just don't click with. And
yes.
they're, like you said, they may be proficient in other areas. I love that's the one right there. That is the one.
That is the one. And people need to also see children learn different. Like, you just can't
Yeah.
box them all into, one category and, expect them to learn your way. There's just some things that I just think is so important that we have Black educators in our schools, Black,
Yeah.
um, Black or, minority professionals, just period, so that our children can look up to. And not only that, they can see someone like them that looks like them that they can feel, comfortable with
Yeah.
talking to. Because I know my dad was a teacher. He's a retired teacher now. A lot of and it's so sad because he was a middle school teacher, and I think that's the worst, you know, time to be, you know, in school. Period. It's the middle school is just a whole another level. That's just like a whole new world to me. And so they will always send like the kids, the trouble kids to my dad's class, expecting him, and he did, but it's also up to everybody to, not just my dad, but other people, to just recognize and try to help these kids
Yeah.
out instead of just shipping them off. And that's what we do too much in this society. We want to push the problem away and instead of combating it or addressing it, and that's definitely goes on in our community as a whole.
Definitely.
So
I definitely agree with you. I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I love the idea of having more Black or minority educators. I think that one of the quotes that I love that I live by is that if you change the representation, you change the agenda. And I think
yes,
that is the most important thing in the world, because once you put some, like, not only does and I don't think every white person's out to get Black people or destroy Black kids or destroy the family,
mm-hmm.
but you can only understand so much from your position when you're on the outside.
From your position,
Once
yes,
you put a once you and I think it's so important when you put a Black man in the classroom, that Black man has, I'm sure if he's aware, he unknowingly has become a father figure. He's become a big brother.
yes,
He's become a
that's
mentor.
true.
He's become all these things he's become all these multiple things for these multiple children, these black boys and girls that look like him. That has changed. You never know the
That's
trajectory of a
true.
child's life once you put a Black representation figure in there. Like, you just don't know,
Mm-hmm.
because now it's like, oh, you look like me, I could be a teacher, or I could do this. That matters.
Exactly. Yes.
That matters. So
And kids need that
they
inspiration.
do. They definitely do. They definitely do.
Yes.
I agree. I definitely. Oh, y'all. You know what? I feel bad for anybody that didn't catch this live, because if they didn't catch it live, we're gonna have to watch it later, baby. Y'all missed it. Y'all missed this one. But
Yes.
yes. So Sarah, you got to tell us where we can follow you, where we can get your book, so that we can make sure all our viewers are definitely out here supporting you.
Okay. So you can follow me on Instagram, Sarah Carmele. I'll put that I'll put the link in my book. My book is available on Amazon for I just posted the link here. You can follow me on Instagram at Sarah Carmele. I'm also on Facebook, Sarah Carmele McGriff. And I'm also starting a film production company. I've actually just I started. I got the business, licensing back in February.
Okay.
I just launched it like last week. So hopefully, my goal right now is to film a web series regarding Black women and how we can uplift each other. So I'm trying to start that and get that put out. God willing, Black History Month of 2021. So
I love that. We're gonna talk about that,
yes,
Sarah. I want to talk to you about that. We're gonna talk about.
okay,
I'm gonna holler at you about that, Sarah. I want to talk to you.
okay. That sounds good because I'm actually supposed to be starting, recording one lady that's going to be featured on the web series, Black Friday. So I'm praying everything works out. So then, but that's my goal. I mean, I'm so thankful to God for blessing me and putting this on, in my spirit to reach out to others. It's just not, 2020 has just really awakened me to a lot of stuff. It's time for uplifting. It's time for coming together. And that's what I really want to do. So, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for me to come on here and speak about my book.
Oh, of course.
And my other, ventures that I have going on. I'm so thankful for that.
I love that. You guys hear Sarah, you can definitely follow her on Facebook. You can buy her book. She's already dropped the link in the comment section on Amazon. And it is, I think I looked, it is available on Kindle, and you can actually buy the physical copy of the book. Right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
You guys heard it. You can get it on Kindle, or you can get the hard copy. So explain something to me. Is it on Kindle? Can they still like download it on like an iPhone if they don't have like Amazon?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes.
I know. So I just had to make sure. I just want to get a little clarity for y'all. That's it. But before you go, Sarah, the same way you come in, you got to leave. You got to give us something else that you're grateful for.
Definitely grateful for. I want to thank my PR team, Brittany Miller, and for getting me for hooking me up with this. I'm so grateful for that. She is amazing. She has done so much for me. With the short time that I've been with her, I'm just amazed at the opportunities that I've come across, that I've been blessed with, and she and her team are phenomenal. So if anyone needs a PR rep, follow her, Miss Britt Miller, Team BMB. Yeah, she is amazing. Like, she is absolutely amazing. And I'm thankful for God. I'm just thankful for God, for my family, for their support. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so thankful.
Of course. Thank you for coming. I think you've been a wonderful guest. Like, I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. Yes, I enjoyed it too.
And I'll give you my grateful. What am I grateful for, y'all? What am I grateful for? What mine is gonna be a little silly. I know we've been, pretty deep in it, but I'm really grateful. My son stopped screaming in the background. Like, he's been screaming this whole I'm so glad he's not screaming, which means he's probably asleep, which is also a blessing when I get off the show.
Yes, that is a blessing.
That's my grateful. I know it's a little silly, but I'm so grateful he's not screaming. He was working.
Oh, yes.
Y'all. I'm working from home. Y'all got to work with me here, okay?
You got to do what you got to do.
But yes, that is my grateful. I want to thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys go follow her on Instagram and on Facebook, and make sure you get her book. It is available on Kindle, and you can also buy the physical version as well. She's already dropped the link in our comment section.
You will definitely enjoy it.
Listen, guess who about to buy it today? And I'm gonna get it today because I want to read it. So as I said, thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate you for coming on the show today. As always, guys, my name is Cherrell Carter. I'm the host of Let's Talk, y'all, and this ain't a podcast. Bye, Sarah.
Bye. Thank you.